Raymond Kdramadiary from the Film Development Council of the Philippines to host the 22nd Korean Film Festival Talk with Filmmakers. So this is hosted by the Korean Cultural Center in the Philippines and FDCP through the annual Korean Film Festival event, which is finally coming back to the cinemas after 2 years. So 2 Korean film directors will be joining us today, together with 2 other Filipino film directors, to share us lively stories from the field of filmmaking and production. So before we start our program, we'd like to acknowledge first the director of the Korean Cultural Center, Ms. 𝐸𝐸. Thank you so much for coming and being with us today. All right, so to get the festivities and the program started, we'd also like to introduce our new FDCP chairman for his welcoming address, Chair 𝐿𝐶 Cruz III.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. I'm excited about this whole thing. Anyway, the director, 𝐸𝐸 of the Korean Cultural Center and the entire team of the Korean Cultural Center, distinguished guests and friends of cinema. For those of you who don't know me, I am 𝐿𝐶 Cruz III, and I'm the new chairman and CEO of the Film Development Council of the Philippines. Giving to you now our profound congratulations for the newest edition of one of the most awaited cultural events in the Philippines. That is the Korean Film Festival. Big hand to them. This year marks the 73rd year of friendship between South Korea and the Philippines. A friendship that is built on gainful cultural exchange and mutual support of each other's artistic goals. After a slowdown during the 2 pandemic years, we returned to a face-to-face celebration of the Korean Film Festival, to the delight of many Filipino audience, me and my family included. Korean films and TV shows have pervaded the daily life of the Filipinos because of its highly engaging stories and the unique appeal, a quality we definitely value and enjoy when it comes to the things we watch and consume. Traditionally, casual Filipino get-togethers feature beer, gin, along with street or party food. Now, many Filipinos drink soju instead. An influence, perhaps, of favorite Korean novellas prevalent on many streaming platforms now. That's how much Korean content has captivated us and the world audiences, and this is commendable. This year, in the Korean Film Festival, we are privileged to have distinguished Korean film directors Hong Won-chan, and that is the director who directed Deliverance from Evil, and Lee Woo-jung of Snowball. Together with prolific Filipino directors, an idol of mine, Director Joey Reyes, and Maria Estela Paiso, of course, very young. How I wish I were. Anyway, these people will be sharing insights about the challenges and processes in today's filmmaking industry. I hope the Korean Cultural Center rests assured that the FDCP will continue in support of this important festival, and whose partnership with our council gives rise to many awesome collaboration and points of cooperation. Thank you very much for your friendship, and again, warm regards, felicitations. Enjoy the Korean Film Festival, everybody.
So, all right. Are you all excited to welcome the special speakers for today?
Yes!
All right. So we'll run the program in 2 sessions. In the first session, we'll have Director Hong Won-chan and Director Joey Reyes to talk about the film industry before and after the pandemic. And later, we'll have Director Lee Woo-jung and Director Maria Estela Paiso, to talk about the current growth trends of independent film. Alright, so let us first welcome the speakers for the first session, Director Hong-Won Chan and Director Joey Reyes. So the topic that we would like to discuss is, the industry before and after the pandemic and how it has changed definitely, extremely different landscape now. So I prepared a few questions. So I'll start with Director Joey with how did the film production environment change before and after the pandemic in the Philippines?
Okay, three words. Oh my God. The 2.5 years of the pandemic did not only change the film industry, but it changed the way we lived. It changed our concept of entertainment, and how it has affected my industry is as much as it has affected other industries as well. I will just give an example. Before the pandemic, Star Cinema movies would cost about 20 to 30 million to produce. 20 million being their more conservative movies. Right now, and the studio where I work for would usually produce movies at about 17 to 20 million. And the contents we come up with are for streaming, if not for streaming, for YouTube. The budget right now for films is between 5 to 7 million, which is a very distant calculation from how it was before. And understandably so. Mainly because there are no people, because people have not yet been convinced to go back to the movie house unless it is a Hollywood blockbuster or a local movie which has just been recently released. Okay, it changed the way we lived. It changed the way we perceive films, but again, I do not consider that as a curse, but I consider that as an inevitable challenge. The world is changing. Unlike Korea, in which Korean films have the world as their market, the Filipinos have yet to establish a world market so that it can be competitive with the rest of the film industries of the world. Just a slight addendum, I found out from a recent luncheon I had with a French ambassador and some French directors that they have the same problems all over the world. The change that has happened is so drastic, so much so that the way we make films, the way we view films, the way we buy films will be so different from as late as February 2020. We have all been so greatly affected. Now I'd like to hear how Korea feels about it.
Right, so yeah, Director Joey has already thrown the gun, so I'm throwing the same question to Director Hong-Won. So how is it? How did the pandemic affect Korea?
한국도 마찬가지로 코로나가 많은 영향을 끼친 것 같아요. 영화 제작 환경 자체가 방역 관련해서 중간에 이제 촬영이 스톱되는 경우가 많고, 촬영이 중단되면 이제 당연히 제작비가 올라가고, 장소를 구하지 못해서, 코로나 때문에 이제 장소를 구하지 못해서 해외 촬영이던 영화들이 국내로 장소를 급하게 바꾼다든지 여러 어려움들이 있었죠. 근데 가장 큰 문제점들은 코로나로 인해서 극장이 원활하지 못한 게 지금 한국 영화 산업에서는 가장 큰 문제로 남아 있는 것 같아요. 그래서 조금씩 이제 풀리고 있긴 한데 아직도 이제 개봉하지 못한 영화들이 계속 창고에 쌓여 있고, 그 여파로 이제 다른 영화들이 제작을 못 들어가고 그런 상황이 있는 것 같아요.
Okay, so yung first, actually same din problem meron po sa Korea na marami pong mga Korean movie na hindi pa naka-release because of the pandemic. And also, because of the pandemic, because of the COVID, naka-hold while shooting, biglang nagsistop sila kasi may quarantine, and naka-hold po yung mga shooting, and it makes costs will be higher. So yan din po yung one of the risks na nangyayari po itong pandemic. So, and also they are having a hard time to pick the place para mag-shoot sila kasi ang dami pong hindi pwede, ang daming bawal nangyari po ditong pandemic. So yan po yung pinaka-risk po na nangyari sa kanila. And also, like, tumataas po kasi yung mga costs, kaya hindi mas lesser po yung nag-shoot or nagde-direct or producing the movies as well.
Yes, alright.
Dadagdagan ko yun at dito din sa atin nangyari yun dahil there's testing which is required. Okay, there's pre-testing, there is mid-testing, and then there is end testing. It costs about 30% more. The budget shot up by 30% more just because of the testing alone. And recently, I've been part of a shoot because people are already vaccinated and boosted. You may be infected, but you don't know because you become asymptomatic. So in the last shoot we had, there was massive infection on the last day of shooting. Because all it took was one person who was asymptomatic to infect everybody. And because you're boosted, it has become, just like in Korea, it's become dangerous to shoot unless you isolate yourself, you do a lock-in, which will escalate your budget another 10 to 20% because you're all in the same place throughout the duration of the shoot. So, yeah, that's how bad it is.
I would like to also understand, and as a follow-up question to the director, when you shot Deliver Us from Evil, was it during the pandemic? And what was it like?
여러분들 이제 보시는 제 영화 같은 경우는 다행히 이게 촬영 때 아직 코로나가 발생하지 않은 시기여가지고 촬영 기간에는 큰 영향은 없었는데 영화를 만들고 나서 개봉하는 시기에 이제 코로나가 심해졌죠. 그러면서 이제 개봉할 때 아무래도 상영관에 이제 극장 안에 이제 사람들이 영화를 보러 많이 못 오니까 개봉할 때 좀 영향이 많이 있었던 것 같아요. 그게 좀 가장 영화 만든 사람들한테는 극장에서 관객들을 만나지 못하는 게 제일 큰 어려움인 것 같아요.
Fortunately, nung nag-shooting, walang pandemic pa, wala pang COVID, kaya okay lang po yung shooting niya. Pero after the shoot, nung nag-release na po yung movie, tsaka po na naka-pandemic, so ang dami pong audience na hindi nakapunta sa movie, sinihan kasi sarado pa. So yan po yung pinaka-risk na nangyari po sa kanya. At while syempre kasi yung mga director and yung mga audience, they want to watch it, pero ang hirap po kasi dahil sa pandemic, ang daming risk, ang dami pong kunti lang yung mga tao, kaya yan po yung pinaka-worst na nangyari po daw sa kanila.
So just delving into the process of filmmaking during the pandemic and the risks as well. So before the pandemic, when of course transferring to other countries were comparatively super easy. Philippines, we do a lot of films from outside we shoot outside the country, and many of our films again were shot abroad. And I was especially told that director 𝐿 has experience in filming overseas. So can you give our audience as well advice regarding filming abroad? And yeah, because obviously we've invited a lot of students students for film. Yeah.
That's a tough question.
보시게 될 제 영화가 보시면 아시지만 일본이랑 한국이랑 태국 3개국에서 촬영을 했어요. 주로 태국에서 한 3달 찍고 일본이랑 한국에서 한 달을 찍었는데 제가 이제 이 전작품 같은 경우는 전부 다 이제 한국에서 찍었죠. 근데 이제 이번 영화 같은 경우는 해외 촬영이었기 때문에 저도 촬영하는데 이제 고민이 되게 많았어요. 그러니까 제일 가장 큰 고민은 내가 잘 모르는 공간에 가서 촬영을 해야 된다는 거였거든요. 그게 뭐 단순히 어떤 제작 시스템의 차이도 있겠지만 그 공간에 대해서 이렇게 뭐 어떤 연출자, 뭐 배우도 마찬가지고 공간이 바뀐다는 거는 그 영화에서 아주 큰 지점인 것 같아요. 그래서 그게 일종의 도전인 거죠. 모험이고 그리고 이제 그 공간에 대해서 내가 잘 모르는데 거기에 카메라를 놓고 뭔가를 촬영한다는 거는 쉬운 작업은 아닌 것 같아요. 저도 이제 촬영하면서 되게 후회도 많이 했고 내가 왜 여기서 방콕에서 촬영한다고 했을까 해서. 근데 제일 중요한 거는 내가 어떤 뭐 해외에 가서 촬영을 하면 최대한 그곳의 어떤 느낌? 네, 그런 것들을 최대한 전달하려고 좀 많이 애썼던 것 같아요.
So, if you watch this, yung new movie niya po, Delivery Us from Evil, actually he shooted in 3 countries like Korea, Japan, and Bangkok, Thailand. So 3 months po sa Bangkok and tig 1 month po sa Korea and Japan. And actually, one of the biggest problem po sa kanya, which is kasi we have a different country taste, we have different culture, different yung mga color. So he want to deliver he want to deliver in movie na ano po yung different meron po between 3 countries. So gusto niya po daw isabihin or tip na ibibigay niya po na parang na-regret din daw siya bakit siya pumunta sa Bangkok, bakit ako siya mag-shoot sa ibang bansa, na alam ko for sure mahirapan yung mga production team and at the same time with the actor and actresses. But they did, and yung gusto niya po sabihin sa mga student is they know this is really hard to do and shooting in other countries, pero sana mabigay niyo po, ma-deliver niyo yung mga color or culture that yung mga taste na meron po ng iba't ibang bansa.
Throwing the same question to Joey.
No, when you shoot in another country, you just don't go there as a tourist. You see, you just go there for the scenery. I think what was mentioned by my dear Korean counterpart is very vital. If you go to a country, you want to immerse yourself and at the same time highlight its culture, okay, and how it will compare or contrast to that of your own. If you're going to go there as a foreigner, then you have to show the difference between you and the environment that surrounds you, which would then highlight the selling point of the movie. Right now, there is the first Filipino-American comedy called Easter Sunday, done by 𝐄𝐸. Now, I'm looking at it from the point of view of a Filipino looking at the Filipino-Americans. And I'm seeing the differences of what they have become and who I am as a Filipino. That way, I am able to compare and contrast even a culture as familiar as America with that of the Filipino, and how it has affected the Filipino. How do I feel about it? I don't know yet because I haven't seen the whole movie, but judging from the trailer, I have certain opinions about the illustration of the Filipino-American. Hindi ba? So he was very correct. You don't go to a country just to shoot the beautiful spots. I think that's something that the Koreans have mastered. Okay, even in their, here I go again, my K-dramas. Okay, okay. Korea does not only sell content and stories; they highlight their culture. Because of my immersion with Hallyu, okay. Yes, I just ate kimchi for lunch. Okay, soju, bulgogi has become, a part of my daily appetite. And I can't live a day without BTS. Okay? So it's because the immersion, it's how you sell the culture, and that is very, very important, especially for the kids who want to shoot in a different culture.
So can you tell us about the difference and pros and cons of each traditional film productions and film production for OTT platforms? I'll start with them, Joey.
Oh God, you're putting me on the spot.
Sorry.
It's neither bad nor good. The OTT platforms, the various streaming platforms, it's neither bad nor good because it's inevitable. It's part of evolution, and you cannot stop technology. I think it was just it was just hastened because of the pandemic. I mean, I can ask everybody here, ilan ba sa inyo ang nanonood ng TV? Commercial TV? Ilan ba sa inyo ang stuck na sa Netflix, sa View, okay, sa Viva Max, okay? Ilan sa inyo ang, I asked my students in my class, okay, how many of you still watch TV? And a great number say, none. They're all stuck to YouTube. Okay, so it's inevitable. You cannot stop that because that's part of evolution. Now, how did it affect filmmaking? And the winner is Korea, because Netflix has invested a great amount of its budget to Korea, and deservingly so because they prepared for it. What Korea is right now in world culture is not something that happened overnight. It's the foresight of their government. It's the foresight of their government that took decades, and now they're harvesting the fruits of conquering the world. Raymond, Parasite, Squid Games, BTS, Blackpink. That didn't happen overnight. That took planning. And I wish to God our government will open its eyes and realize that popular culture is a force to reckon with.
Yes.
Okay.
Powerful words. Going back to Director Hong.
네, 저도 뭐 그 다음 작품으로 이제 OTT에서 준비를 하고 있는데 그 장단점이 있는 것 같아요. 그 비슷한 얘기 하셨는데 뭐 어느 한 분야가 더 좋다 나쁘다라고 얘기할 수 없는 여러 요소들이 있는 것 같아요. 네.
First, may future plan po daw siya nagagawa sa Netflix for a series. And as same as Derek Joy said, wala pong good and bad things kasi syempre nagbabago na po yung future natin ngayon.
일단 그 한국에서는 그 뭐 영화의 러닝타임이 점점 짧아지고 있는데 요즘에 어떤 트렌드죠. 그러니까 그 관객들이 더 이상 긴 서사를 담은 그 내러티브를 보고 싶어하지 않기 때문에 영화가 점점 짧아지는 반면에 이제 OTT에서는 이제 시리즈물로 그 일종의 영화를 길게 늘려서 확대해서 이제 보여주는 어떤 방식이 그러니까 일종의 어떤 영화를 시리즈화시키는 작업을 이제 감독들이 많이 하고 있거든요. 그래서 그 영화가 지나치게 이제 호흡이 빨라지고 그런 스토리보다는 뭐 어떤 임팩트나 어떤 장면의 임팩트나 이미지 중심으로 이제 추구하니까 이제 그런 걸 담지 못한 것들을 OTT의 시리즈물에서 좀 많이 시도하려고 하는 경향들이 있는 것 같아요.
So the first, na-short po yung running time ng movie kasi yung mga tao ngayon ayaw nila na mahaba po yung mga scene. So naging short po siya, and sa OTT naman actually kasi we have a two option na sa OTT kapag kahit may movie, it has a series, hindi na po siya sa part 1, part 2, may episode po siya. So doon po daw, hindi sila parang, mas focus po sila sa mga impact rather than the stories. So ganun po daw yung nangyayari sa mga Netflix. So wala naman good or bad things, pero the world is changing right now.
그 OTT가 이렇게 강세를 보이면서 전통적인 영화, 우리가 소위 얘기하는 뭐 극장에 가서 보는 영화는 뭐 그 사양될 것이다라는 얘기들도 있었는데 그거는 뭐 영화는 또 극장에서만 볼 수 있는 영화만의 또 특색이 있는 것 같거든요. 그래서 그 뭐 OTT로 인해서 뭐 극장이 죽을 것이다 이런 우려는 그런 건 맞지 않는 것 같고 영화는 계속 그랬던 것 같거든요. 뭐 이렇게 컬러 TV가 나오면서 영화가 죽을 것이라지만 뭐 극장은 계속 지금도 사람들이 극장을 찾고 있고 OTT가 지금 이렇게 강세를 보이고 있지만 마찬가지로 극장에서 보는 영화는 또 그 콘텐츠에 집중을 하면 극장은 또 극장대로 계속 사람들이 찾을 것 같아요. 그래서 이게 뭐 어떤 좋고 나쁘고의 문제는 아닌 것 같아요. 그냥 이 트렌드지.
OTT is one of the trend na nag-growing for the trend ngayon sa ganitong yung mga bagong new normal natin. Pero dahil meron po yung OTT platform, hindi po masisira at maapektado yung mga traditional, authentic na movie film because even may color TV po daw, marami pong nasasabi na mawawala yung movie pero hindi naman nangyari because the people wants to go and going to visit in sinehan kasi they want to see the film in mismo talaga doon po sa sine. So it is totally different from the OTT platform and the traditional film mga sinehan. So hindi naman po siya good or bad. Maybe we have something new trend na sinasabi natin OTT platform.
I guess I'm hearing the same thing. No, OTT is not the enemy. OTT is a bridge to get where you want. It's just merely knowing what content,
what is meant for OTT is not necessarily what is going to be the material for the big screen. Like there are certain things that you cannot just possibly watch on a small monitor. That you have to experience, okay, a community watching and sharing that experience. In the same manner that there are certain genres which will no longer work on the big screen because they can be consumed in the small screen, whether something as portable as your telephone or your television set. So namimili ka ng genre. One is the death of the rom-com in cinemas. Okay, because you can appreciate the rom-com in your telephone, but then you have all these Marvel theme rides, okay, all these Marvel fantasy movies. You have to see it on the big screen. Or you have a movie like Nomadland, okay, which you just can't appreciate, on a small screen. My co-director is right. Cinema will never die, but cinema will be a different experience in the future.
Thank you so much. So I feel like I'm hogging, all the questions for myself and asking it to our director. So at this point, we'd like to open the floor for any questions from our audience.
Hello po, good afternoon. I am Nathan Lento from Kdramadiary. I'm also a BA Com student from Manila Titana Colleges. So this question is for Direct Joey Reyes po. The mainstream Filipino films are still dominantly more Manila-centric. So it is great that our indie films are trying to showcase and amplify regional stories of our rich culture and heritage. But this is the norm for Hallyu, since they really highlight their provinces, they maximize shooting locations. So what is your take on this? Are there any plans to further incorporate our different regional colors diversely in the future projects of Philippine cinema po? Thank you.
Wow, what a question. Okay. But I completely agree with you. I mean, Philippine cinema cannot be about Imperial Manila. Okay, we are a country of more than 7,000 islands of a great variety of cultures. You know what, it's so ironic that you should ask me that question, and we have Ms. Paiso in front of Direct Maria Estela here, who comes to represent, okay, the new generation of Filipino filmmakers. Okay, I'll share an open secret with you guys. At the Cinemalaya Film Festival happening right now, the short films have created a greater impact than the feature films. And what is important is that the short films, only 2 are from Manila. So in other words, we are opening the doors to regional films because we are realizing that the voice of the Filipino people is not only the urban areas where culture is allegedly concentrated, but is as important to go out and hear the young voices from the regions. And if I may be allowed by the chairman, this is one thrust of FDCP, okay, which is to give, to empower the regional Filipino filmmakers to have their voices heard. Because it is about time. You made mention of Korea. It's because of their cultural planning.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because they love their culture. And I have a feeling we Filipinos don't. They are proud of their culture. And it's about time we give reasons for ourselves to be proud of our own. That is the only time we can convince the world that we are worth looking at. If we are proud of ourselves. Thank you. Miss Universe answers to my question.
Alright, we'll entertain 2 more questions.
Please don't be shy. Otherwise, I'll ask them my Korean. Francis?
Yeah. Recently, because of the lack of audiences in the cinemas, this is slowly giving rise to yung streaming producers. And the streaming producers who really want to help naman the film industry, I'm sure, are giving the filmmakers a chance to do their films at a budget of 1 million or so only. So, rush shooting, 3 days, something like that. And parang we're sort of back to the sex movies. That's what's happening in the streaming, world. How can this be helpful to the film industry?
Okay.
And then that's the first question. The second question is...
There's 35.
The second question is, Filipino films are very visible now in the film festival multiverse. But how can we really actually be more competitive? Because we've been there in the festivals, but how? How can Filipino films, to your point of view, rise above our regular thing?
Okay, all right. To answer your first question about the proliferation of mature movies, okay, on the streaming platform with a 1 million budget, I think it's about time you distinguish the charlatans from the 𝐊𝐸𝐵𝐿s. Okay, there are fly-by-night producers who will really capitalize on 1 million, budget movies because they think it's a quick profit. But you know that it's not going to last. It will have the lifespan of a mayfly. Okay, it's only because we're so Catholic in this country. We are allegedly conservative. We are so ill when it comes to sex that when you show sex on streaming without censorship, of course the audience goes crazy. Okay, but just how long will it last? I think it's a trend. Okay, but in fairness, there are efforts naman on the part of some producers who give you 5 to 7 million peso budgets to do these streaming movies of mature subject matter. And what is good about that, Francis, is number one, it gives work to people. Okay, number two, you can deal with subject matters which you could never deal on mainstream because certain movie houses will not allow R-rated movies. Okay, so it gives an opportunity for people to experiment and to have voice. Now, the harder question is your second question. Okay, how do we become competitive? Recently, there was a comment given by the Venice Film Festival by asking, wala na ba kayong ibang director kundi si 𝐊𝐵𝐴S? And when you come to think of it, there are more foreigners who have seen Brillante Mendoza movies and 𝐊𝐵𝐴S movies than Filipinos. So in other words, these international caliber directors are more appreciated by the foreign audiences than the Filipinos. Why? Because we are stuck with the same formula of mainstream movies over and over again. Okay, and that is a result, I can go on forever, okay? That is a result of multimedia conglomerates bringing television aesthetics to cinema. As a result of that, we have lost the originality of cinema. Francis, I'm so proud to belong to a generation when you had the Chito Roños, the Joel Lamangans, the Mel Chonglos, the Carlitos Signorreynas. When you watch our movies, you know that's directed by Joel, that's directed by Chito. Because we have reached a point in mainstream that our movies look like a bunch of donuts in a box. Okay, they're all the same, just with different shapes and sizes. That is why what is interesting is with the pandemic, now we can start all over again because everybody is back to zero. Okay. The star system has practically collapsed. With the closure of a major studio, the star system collapsed. Now, you have recognized actors like Elijah Canlas, who would have never made it before. Or Charlie Dixon. Okay, so these are exciting times. How can we be competitive? Simple. Let's be proud of ourselves first. Before we start selling ourselves abroad, can we sell ourselves first to ourselves? Then when we are that good, we can show the world what we really are capable of doing, and we are. And another final word, Francis, that sense of hope belongs to the next generation of filmmakers. And judging how good the young filmmakers are, I can cry in saying, they are the hope. Where my generation failed, hopefully the next one will succeed. That's it.
We'll entertain one more question from the team.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have a question to Director Hong. As you know, Filipinos are really in love with Korean drama, Korean film, anything Korean. So my question is, do you think there is like this room of improvement or negative side of Korean film production which Filipinos can learn from?
제가 이제 다방에서 무한소설을 3개국에서 찍었는데 일본이랑 태국에서 찍을 때 현지 스태프들이 이렇게 그런 얘기 많이 했어요. 그러니까 엄청 열심히 찍어서 깜짝 놀랐다고, 한국 사람들 너무 열심히 찍는다고. 그러니까 처음에는 되게 신기하게 봤거든요, 그거를. 그러니까 본인들이 생각하는 영화의 현장과 한국 스태프들이 와서, 배우들도 마찬가지고, 그러니까 너무 좋게 얘기하면 몰입해서 될 때까지 하는 그 어떤 분위기가 일본 스태프들이나 태국 스태프들이 볼 때는 그렇게 신기해하더라고요. 그러니까 그런 자세나 그 현장에서의 어떤 태도, 이런 것들. 이게 한국 사람들은 지금 해외에서 좋은 결과들을 내고 있지만은 또 한국 안에서의 그 경쟁이 되게 치열하거든요. 그래서 그 경쟁에서 살아남기 위해서 이제 그렇게 되는 과정들이 있는데, 그게 결과적으로는 좋은 영향을 내기도 하지만 또 한편으로는 꽤 스트레스로 오는 거죠. 네.
First, nung nag-shoot po daw sila sa Thailand and Japan, actually kasi ibang country po siya. So lahat po doon ng mga staff, local staff doon, parang nagulat daw sila sa attitude ng Korean production team and also to the actor kasi sobrang hard work daw yung mga Korean team. It means like they really want to be a perfectionist. Kapag talagang focus lang sila sa kapag nag-shoot, kailangan perfect yung lalabas. Kung hindi, pag-shoot ulit. So parang nagulat po daw lahat ng mga local team, local staff po doon sa Japan and sa Bangkok na sobrang hard work naman yung mga Korean. So parang yan po daw yung one of na sana yan po yung mga benefit na meron po sila. And on the other side na bad things naman, because sobrang competitive daw yung Korea inside of their environment too. So stressful daw kasi they want to be a perfection. Syempre kaya parang ang dami rin po na stress na natatanggap din. Kaya yan daw po yung parang bad things na nangyari.
When I'll ask him a question, pwede. I have a question. Korean cinema has reached such a stature that the Korean film won the Academy Awards. Okay, and the expectations, I mean, you have a Korean actress winning the Best Supporting Actress. So the expectations of Korean cinema is already, way above. It's up there. How is that for you as a filmmaker, as a challenge for you, as in terms of the world expectation from you as a director and part of Korean cinema?
네네, 그게 한국에서는 스타 배우를 캐스팅하고 이게 상당히 중요해요. 세계 모든 영화들이 그렇겠지만 한국도 그게 제작 환경에 있어서 큰 영향을 미치죠. 네, 그래서 감독들이 그런 일종의 미캐스팅을 하고 싶어하고 뭐 보시게 될 제 영화도 한국에서 가장 탑 배우들이 이제 출연하는 영화인데 그 기대치가 있어요. 그래서 뭐 제 영화 같은 경우는 그 두 배우가 또 전작에서 워낙 성과가 좋았기 때문에 제 영화 개봉할 때도 그 영화의 이 전작에 대한 언급이 많았고 감독으로서도 그런 큰 배우들과 하는 거에 대해서 상당히 부담감이 있었는데 결국에 이렇게 감독은 모든 스태프들과 모든 배우들과 커뮤니케이션 해야 되는 포지션인 것 같아요. 그거에만 너무 의식하면 내가 만든 영화를 놓칠 수가 있는 것 같거든요. 그래서 그거는 어떤 영화를 만드는 과정 중에 하나지 목적이 아니기 때문에 결국에는 이제 본인 스스로의 영화를 만드는 거에 더 집중하는 수밖에 없는 것 같아요.
Okay, so yung syempre lahat po tayo may expectation. So like yung movie niya rin, one of the top yung favorite yung mga actor, sikat na actor po daw talaga nakadala rin sa movie niya. And halos lahat po ng movie siguro, hindi lang sa Korea, they want to cast the best and favorite kung sino po talaga kilalang kilala yung mga artists. Pero syempre ang hirap din po makakast ng kapag ganon. And at the same time, yung actor na dalawang actor po doon sa movie niya, actually sobrang sikat din po sa Korea, even the past movie po nila. So marami rin siyang naka-expect, pero wag lang po masyadong focus sa expectation because it will make other things na baka maging mas mali. So sana mag-communicate with the production team and the staff. Yan po daw yung position ng director. Hindi lang daw mag-focus lang sa mga expectation kung ano po yung mangyayari kasi this is a procedure, not a result. So kailangan po yan po talaga mag-focus. Yeah.
제가 좀 설명을 더 드리자면 제가 이제 그 질문을 이 작품하면서 진짜 많이 받았는데 워낙 한국의 대표적인 두 남자 배우가 출연을 하기 때문에 여러분들이 극장에서 보시는 영화는 스타 배우를 위한 게 아닌 것 같아요. 그러니까 결국에는 영화는 영화 자체로 어떤 배우가 나와도 그 극 중에 그 배우가 해야 되는 역할이 있는 거지 그 두 배우를 위해서 영화를 만드는 건 아니거든요. 그래서 제가 그 정도의 저도 스타 감독이 아니었기 때문에 그런 스트레스를 많이 받았지만 그런 것 같아요. 어쨌든 여기 다 영화를 공부하는 학생들이 많이 계시다고 하니까 막상 현장에서 감독이 가장 이 대화를 많이 해야 되는 배우는 스타 배우가 아니라 그 현장의 아역 배우 혹은 단역 배우 아주 잠깐 나오는 배역일수록 감독이 더 신경 써야 되는 거는 그 사람들인 것 같아요. 그 스타 배우들은 알아서 하는데 그 사람들 그냥 놔두면 자기 약간 나하니까 오히려 감독이 가장 신경 쓰고 작품을 만드는데 가장 세심하게 챙겨야 되는 거는 그 스타 배우들이 아니라 그 아주 작은 배역의 배우들인 것 같아요.
So sabi siya, yung sa hindi siya masyadong sikat na director kagaya po sa iba, pero ang dami po ng question na actually na-receive na ganitong question kasi both of the actor is really famous in Korea. Talaga sobrang sikat sila sa mga movie. At kung parang kahit mga Korean, kapag alam nila na lalabas yung actor na yan, nonood kami. Pero sabi po ni Derek na wag po daw masyadong focus on the famous actor because we want to, he hoped that please focus on the characteristic that have in the movie po sana. Focus po sa movie and the story, not the two-star na actor. And as sabi niya po na-mention na marami po mga estudyante na gusto po mag-filmmaker din po dito. So recommend niya po sana wag halimbawa kung maging director po kayo or filmmaker, please focus on the child actor and yung mga short, yung mga hindi lead man, yung hindi mga bida. Kasi yung mga bida, alam na nila kung anong gagawin nila. Lahat po daw, meron silang magka-care sa kanila. Pero for the kids, or yung mga short, mga character na meron po sila, sana yung mga posisyon ng as a director, please focus with them. Yan po daw maging mas magandang mga movie na mangyayari po.
first session, I'd like to have a last question. I'll start with Direct Hong. May I ask, what are you working on right now, and if there's anything you'd like to promote as well?
차기 전은 아까 말씀드렸던 것처럼 OTT 시리즈물을 생각하고 있고요. 두 아이템이 있는데 좀 큰 사이즈의 그 시리즈물을 할지 아니면 조금 더 작은 사이즈지만 밀도 있는 작품을 할지 고민하고 있어요. 그러니까 제가 지금까지 그 극장용 장편 영화를 2편 만들었는데 첫 작품은 상업 영화지만은 아주 작은 예산의 영화를 만들었거든요. 그리고 두 번째 작품은 여러분들 이제 이번 영화제에서 보시게 될 작품인데 스타 배우의 아주 큰 빅 버젯의 블록버스터를 만들었는데 예산이 작은 만큼 또 그 감독이 자유롭게 찍을 수 있는 부분들이 있고 또 작품 안에 밀도를 높일 수 있는 부분이 있어서 그 두 가지 중에서 고민하고 있어요.
Actually, he's thinking kung ano po yung mas gusto niya ngayon. Pero as a while ago, nagsabi po siya na series na sa OTT platform. And meron po yung the project with a big budget. Pero iniisip niya po kung ano po yung mas gusto niyang gawin in the future. Because meron siyang more on commercial movie po yung ginagawa niya, commercial film. So, iniisip niya po kung ano po yung mas okay. Kasi for the small budget, it means meron po yung mga director na pwedeng gawin. May strength din po on the other side. So, yeah, still thinking pa po si Derek ngayon.
Okay, thank you. And Direct Joey?
Right now, I'm preparing for another movie. Okay, I'm preparing for a shoot next month. Because I have my own company, which line produces movies for any available studio. I'm also head writing a television series for GMA, and this is in cooperation with Regal Entertainment, which I serve as a consultant. And I'm also teaching. I'm also teaching 1 day a week. And as I said, I'm the chairperson of a film school, which I hope that's why I'm connecting with the Korean Cultural Center, because we have plans of eventually coming up and creating a course which is patterned after the Korean courses in the performing arts. Because we saw how the professionalization of actors, they're university graduates who take their acting seriously and they're not reality show winners. Okay, so I shouldn't have said that. Okay. But it matters a lot. Okay, and it shows in the quality of Korean actors in terms of, you know, June and the rest. Okay, so in other words, these are all important for me. What else? Cinemalaya is concluding, and I'm having a great time with your chairman.
Okay. Thank you so much, Director Hong Chai. Thank you very much.
My short film